www.polemicpeoples.com. It's your host Mack here, and you are tuned in to the People's Space for Debate. Today's episode is dedicated to our brother. We love you, Jafet Robles. And Jafet, for those that don't know, was one of the original creators and people that really helped me push this idea for Polemic Peoples forward when I was going around asking people, trying to see who would help me organize everything, help me come up with the topics, help me get the equipment. Jafet was always down to help me out. Before then, I met Jafet when I first came back from Africa in 2016. I only known him for about a year, but it felt like a lifetime. The man helped me with learning how to drive, helped me get to different job interviews, and every time I was with him, we was politicking and coming up with new ways to change the world, or at least spark the idea behind the person who would change the world eventually. And I'm gonna miss my brother. We love him over here at Polemic Peoples, and in his honor, in his name, we're gonna continue pushing this machine forward, giving you debates and pop culture, philosophy, and politics moving forward all across this nation. And what we're gonna give you today is the last episode that we ever recorded with Jafet. And it was actually just me and Jafet in a room, and we was just chilling. We was just talking, and I don't know what it was, but something just told me, yo, press record. Because I be having a lot of conversations with people all the time, and there's just some people you meet on a day-to-day basis that afterwards you wish that the world got to hear what that person said. And there's only a few people I have that type of encounter with, and Jafet was definitely one of them. So I press record, and throughout that entire conversation, we talked about how to get your money and still stay true to yourself. We talked about local politics, things that are happening right now. We talked about the school to prison pipeline, all the work that he was doing with that, and he was just dropping so many gems this whole episode, man. I had to release it, but within this episode, you will get a chance to hear from the family, friends, all around loved ones who knew Jafet the best, and they're sharing their memories of Jafet and what he meant to their life and how he impacted our world. And here you go, man. This is the Jafet Robles dedication episode. Hashtag justice for Jafet. Hashtag we miss you, brother. This is for you. You are tuned in to People's Place for Debate, www.polemicpeoples.com. Let us know what you think in the comment section below.
Bonus.
Thank you for tuning in. We had to do a bonus episode. There's a lot going on this week.
It's a whole lot going on.
I don't think we had enough to talk about in the last episode. There's just way too much to go into. We want to make sure we cover it all.
For real, we got to cover that. We got a lot of millennials locally here in Springfield. Yeah. Took up their nomination papers. There's a lot going on, really.
We gonna get into that.
And them subjects, man, about when is the right time to leave the job? We got a lot to discuss, man.
Yeah.
Let's get right into it, Tito, man.
First off, how you doing?
I'm actually
we ain't seen you in a minute.
I know. I missed the last show. I even texted you. I said I'll be there late. Had you waiting, never showed up, and it was terrible. I had a scenario with my daughter, and I was dealing with this teenage daughter. Something personal, but
yeah.
I'm good, man. I'm actually happy to be here. We're recording in a new location today. We downtown.
Right.
Even though I missed my other.
We at the new location.
Yeah, the new location. Yeah.
New location for
off.
Neighbor to neighbor, right?
Yeah, this is our new office right downtown, 191 Chestnut Street. If you ever want to learn about politics or the work we do, you're more than welcome to come down. But today we down here recording, and it's the Polemic People's Podcast. We ready to inform you guys of a lot that's been happening. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm chilling.
I've been seeing. I feel like you can update me more on this, but I've been seeing a lot of people on my timeline talking more and more about jobs, not jails, prisoner pipeline work. I'm sometimes confused as if there's two different organizations doing two separate action plans, or they're all interconnected.
Yeah. So I must say that there has been some momentum locally. I started organizing 2 years ago, and it does seem like there's more of a conversation around people understanding, the issue, the systematic criminalization of people of color. But in terms of the two, Jobs Not Jails is a statewide campaign, and Jobs Not Jails more has to do with a lot of the adult criminal justice reform. Jobs Not Jails is the coalition, the biggest coalition in Massachusetts to ever address, bold vision in terms of addressing mass incarceration, but it's statewide. So basically, it's across the state, like churches, different unions, organizations like Neighbor to Neighbor that form the coalition, and they meet periodically. They have a big table in Boston, and we're forming one here in Western Mass. So like Neighbor to Neighbor is a part of that. Pioneer Valley Project is a part of that. A lot of local organizations are part of the Jobs Not Jails coalition, and the school to prison pipeline work is actually very locally based. It's focused right here in Springfield. Okay. Because Neighbor to Neighbor, we partnered up with ACLU, who had done some research which was really focused on Springfield, and we just launched that campaign. So there's been a lot of recent talk around that. They did a news article recently published, the Valley Advocate, and believe it or not, I met with a sergeant who I spoke to him about the issue about the school to prison pipeline, and I wanted to get his feedback. And initially, with cops, man, they typically don't really like to hold each other accountable, right? I mean, I think it happens across the board in any organization, any type of right, but I think with them it tends to be a little extreme, you know what I mean, with them. But
holding them accountable?
But with just like, the issue of not all cops are bad, but when you see your partner beating someone, that you don't do nothing.
Blue code.
Yeah, like in the streets. Like cops, they want us when we do crime to report it, right? Report crime. But when y'all see your own partner beating someone down, it goes both ways, you know what I'm saying? So my point being is that I met this brother. He actually came right here to the office. So like I said, initially I'm thinking, I didn't really have high hopes in terms of him helping us try to address the issue of cops arresting people, him being a cop. But he's actually one of those cops that like be in the school real friendly, like they know him. He teaches like martial arts after school. And basically, I was so surprised because he tells me like our campaign, everything that we kind of were fighting for, he kind of like paraphrased it in his own words, like without me even telling him. He just said, about 100 of the arrests, one of them are legit. Out of 100, and we get called in there. The teacher will call us to arrest somebody, and like they don't have a lot to say. It's like a teacher's paranoid. They get called and they just got arrested. His point was like,
at a high, like you talking high school?
At a high school. It happens in middle school too. But his point was like, listen, I became a cop to fight crime, like not to arrest these kids when a teacher is paranoid, and especially he knows the impact that being arrested has. So I'm just saying that I was really proud. Usually, does a kid have like a 3-strike rule before they get arrested on the spot, or that's the issue that
it could be one fight and just
it could be one argument. It could be the teacher's scared. Like right now, that's basically what our campaign is about putting something in policy that clarifies what a cop can arrest a kid for. Because right now, it's open season. A cop can go slam my daughter right now and just say, "Oh, she talked back." There's no regulation that states you couldn't, and that's basically what that's about. But back to the cop, man. Big up to that cop, man. We need more people like that to step up and use their voice. You don't see that too often, and he spoke in an article, and so big shout outs to Sergeant Clayton, man, on the Springfield Police Department. We need more like that, brother.
Facts. 3.
My name is Christopher Edwards. The memories that I remember about Jafet was me and him were recording some of his music. He loved to rap, and I'm gonna miss that about him because every day, or not every day, but every time I would get in his car, he would, just say, I did some new lyrics, and that, and so, I would, record him singing, and then after that, he would, replay it, so that he can hear how how he sounds. Another thing that I'm gonna miss is me calling him every day, just to, just to say what's up, boss. So, so I'm gonna be there for his mother. I'm gonna be there for his children, and make sure that they're led in the right direction.
I'm Sasha Jimenez, and I'm from Springfield. Is that better? And I've known Jafet for years, but was able to get to know him on a different level, I would say in the last 2 or 3 years. I connected with him to speak to my students at Putnam High School about the school-to-prison pipeline and the injustice that Black and brown youth face around the country, and police brutality and all that good stuff. And he came in quite a few times, and he inspired my students to work with him in hosting an event with Neighbor to Neighbor to discuss the school to prison pipeline. And meeting with him like before, and then like realizing that I'd known him for so long was like pretty weird. And then just seeing his drive and his motivation and his everything, the way he touched my students, one in particular who seemed to have a very parallel life story to him up until, he hasn't really gotten in trouble with the law, but he really, really was touched by Jafet's wisdom and desire to change the world for the better. And he's just incredible. His vision for youth in Springfield and urban youth, and keeping them safe and educating them and empowering them and developing them to become these amazing citizens of society, really, really ignited or reignited my desire to keep it going. And so after they coordinated the event with him, he was like so proud of them. This was in March. And so I'm really thankful for that. I'm really thankful for him. And nothing but love for Jafet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
I'm Shaitia Sproul. Jafet used to call me Shy. I met Jafet in 2011 when we went to HCC together. We had a public speaking class, ironically. And really one of my first memories is one of his speeches during the class was about the criminal justice reform, and you could just tell right off the bat that he had a lot of passion and a lot of heart and energy around this subject, and you don't see that a lot. Even in school and all the different classes that I took, I never seen anybody as passionate to speak about something so close to his heart, and that always kind of stuck with me. And once that class was over, we kind of like lost communication, and we started talking again after I ran into him at one of my jobs. And he would always invite me to the neighbor meetings, and try to pull me in, do one-to-ones, and I was a little hesitant at first, but he eventually got me to go to one, and since then it was just like automatic. I needed to go. And he saw something in me that I didn't see. And he would constantly, like, reassure me that this is where I needed to be and I'm a part of this community. And he kind of pushed me. He pushed me a lot to go out and speak my mind and support these different movements. Go to DC, go to Boston, and have me all up in the State House. And something else that I'll never really forget is that trip to DC was life-changing, honestly. He had me revved up. We was both scared. They had pulled us out to kind of get us ready for speaking in front of the White House, and a lot of people know that he had got arrested that day for standing up for Trump's crappy budget that we were fighting against. And originally I was supposed to get arrested, but he took one for the team because he knew I was scared. So we went into that room together, hella scared. He was the real deal. Everything he said and he believed, he walked, he talked it, and he did it, and he was it. And I'm gonna miss him so much.
Currently at this point where our day-to-day job is our career. You know, like, because you know when you're at your career, you're doing a job that you love. So if you're doing a job that you love, more than likely you're comfortable. Mm-hmm. You know, you are who you are. But if you're doing a job that you're just kind of doing to get by so you can focus on your career, so you can build up before your career launches off, then you're probably just assimilating and, you know, kind of working it through. Some people don't feel like that. Some people feel like what you get is what you get. I'm going to be this way at Family Dollar the same way I'm going to be at Goldman Sachs. It's really not much you can do about it. What you feel about that job, bud?
I think it varies from. I just say that because, like, all right. For instance, I'm a community organizer. We tend to be. We get to.
Which is like the best job.
We're always crazy. All organizers are crazy, right? Like they always are. Like, I don't know. I get to be a little. My boss likes it when I shake things up. When we, you know, if I give a speech and I'm real radical, she'll call me, "Great job, Jafet." Like most people don't got that.
It.
So.
I love it.
I think in my situation that is a little different. But even though, then I think there's a private and there's a public, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there's like certain boundaries, right? Where like I have my private friends. Like as an organizer, I meet tons of people, right? So then I have my friends who are related to like the organizing, who, I mean, I think you build relationships, but I'll keep certain, you know, I keep my private life, and then I have those personal people who I would let in. But
right.
I'm always the same dude, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Can I express real quick how much I envy you, man? Because I personally have been, what's the word? I've been in trouble at work at many of my jobs for my social justice.
Yes,
side
very
of me.
outspoken.
You know, whether it's my online platform or I'm the guy to be at the rallies. I'm the guy to organize the rallies. I'm the guy, you know, whether I'm in Atlanta, Springfield, whatever. You know, I was the guy in Rwanda who was organizing young girls.
That's
you know,
what you do.
Doing teaching.
You organize this podcast. You know, what I mean? It's what you do, brother.
Hey, man, but you know, not everybody wants that because they don't want that attention, which I get. But you know, I try my best to keep that separate from the company's name that I'm working for at the time. You know, but still, that kind of keeps me in my way. But when I hear people like you, shout out to my homie Deandra, Patrice, my other friend Tiffany, these people who are community organizers, and they get paid to be themselves, you know, voice on things that matter to them, you know, and not just talk and, you know, organize and do rallies, but actually organizing people, like getting out there, getting people together for change and this, that, and the third. I wish there was more jobs out there like that. I really
We definitely need more organizers. I agree. I feel like we need more positions, more organizers. Man. I feel like people will be more engaged. We'll solve that issue around people. You know, someone like you. That's what you do. Beautiful. That's what you do, man. Educate, right?
Because I definitely have to. Because for instance, where'd you work at before?
So
your last
employment. All right, so prior to this, I had it rough. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when I came out of jail, I went in 18 years old, came out, you know, and I didn't have any
You
work.
went in 18?
I went in when I was 18. Yeah, I
And you
came
came
out when I
out-
was 22.
Okay.
So I didn't have no work experience, no degree. I had got a GED.
Mm.
So I was coming out starting from the bottom. So I mean, I worked those real shitty jobs for a long time. I had the stigma of a felony.
Right.
But then finally it's weird because I had that for years. I never gave up, and I really wanted to work with youth. Like that was my passion. I volunteered with youth. I was volunteering before. There was an organizer that I volunteered like so much time in the community just to, you know, to kind of give back because I know that I had done a lot of damage to my community, but also to prove myself, right? Like I had a record and I had to prove myself. So
Right.
I did do that, and then it was a home improvement company. I showed up as a laborer. I didn't know anything about cars, home improvement, like a lot of stuff. I was from scratch, but I showed up there as a labor guy initially. Then I would be at the jobs, and I would sell. You know, I would say we would be doing a job. I would upsell. So then the owner was a multimillionaire, and he kind of put me to work in the office. I took over the marketing, and he just showed me a lot about business. He was a racist white dude, and that's why I had to get out of there, even though the money was well. But one thing I took from him was his work ethic. He was a multimillionaire who acted like he was broke, who didn't drive the fancy cars, who worked hard. So in that sense, me coming from a little kid from the North End, he showed me a lot about sales, marketing, and I took that with me. But my point being is I was finally making money. And I was like doing sales. I was getting I would do one sale, make like $2,000 on a contract, but I felt empty. My boss was a racist. I got to see the white boys would be in the other room, the carpenters, and he didn't hire people of color. I'm a Puerto Rican, but I'm light skinned, so to them they feel comfortable. I can, I know how to play the game, but me being someone who's so conscious. Like that shit was eating me up. I felt like the slave master, like yes master, he'll be yelling too. He was a perfectionist, so I was making money. That environment, yeah, I couldn't be myself actually.
Right.
But actually it came out because like I would always debate them, but I knew he was my boss. I did it in little spurts, you know, and I knew I would get attacked, but I would always say little things. They would say racist stuff, and I would always prove my little point, shut them down, and then just walk out. But I think, you have to adapt to society, period. It sucks that you got to play the game, but I feel like we live in a society where white men typically are own and control like a lot of the positions of power. Like my last jobs that I went to were all, the small businesses owned by white men, right? And to get hired, right, you got to play the game. I was a light-skinned dude who can articulate. It's different, I think, when I feel that you have to play the game sometimes. It sucks. It's like the world as it is and the world as we would want it. Right? So you have to play the game in life. It's not the way I would like it to be, but I think sometimes you gotta be on point and be aware of your surroundings because people definitely judge you, right? It's just like you wish you can go in a job not dressed, dressed just regular and them not judge you, right, when you go look for work, but that's not the way it is, right? So we gotta wear that damn tie, and it's just the way it is.
You know what I think it is? I think it's just all, to break it down to sociology, I look at it like adapting to culture. If immigrants, foreigners come from wherever they come from here to America, we expect them to learn English, we expect them to know our customs, to our traditions, why we handshake, why we do the things that we do that they don't normally do, wherever it is that they're from. If I go to Colombia and I live there, a lot of people are gonna want to expect me to speak Spanish. They're gonna expect me to do abide by the certain customs and traditions that are there. If I'm going to be living there, I'm going to be working there.
The norms, right?
Yeah, the norms. So if you're going into, I feel like we have to accept the fact that corporate America is a culture, and it's white culture.
Exactly.
That's white invented.
It's rare. All the CEOs are owner control. So that's
like facts. We would not have to wear suits if they weren't wearing suits.
Exactly.
Because I've been in environments where I remember being the first person that walked on my first day. I came in with a suit. All my coworkers were dressed kind of casual, and my CEO and the boss guy, he had a suit on. But once I seen them all casual, I knew it was the okay thing to be not casual.
Yeah.
Because they're adopters of this culture. You know, this is their culture. So it's kind of like you got to play on their field. You know, if you want to work in their field, you got to play in their field.
Exactly.
And I respect it because vice versa, if they like say, you know, BET. If there's like a white dude that comes into BET and he wanna be a producer, or he wants to be a writer, or he wants to be some type of administrative level that is in control of black music, black entertainment, he's gonna have to. We would expect him to learn black culture. Exactly. We're not gonna give you this producer job. I don't care how many degrees you have in music or how much experience you have in music. You're not about to get this job if you don't know black culture. This is BET. You know, like, so you would have to show us that you know this culture, that you're adapting to it, that you're assimilating to it. You know, it's kind of like assimilate to survive.
Exactly. And it goes back to my point. Like, to me, you're breaking down the issue in society, right, where these corporations are owned, right, by white males, right, by white people. And it goes back to the point of us just business ownership, right? And the need of us owning businesses because they own all the factories. They're going to hire their own. Could we even blame them for hiring their own? That's just what we all are like that, right? So we just got to really get into a business ownership mindset. That goes back to the concept of supporting our own, so people could be successful. And it goes back to my point of I look up to the dad and the father who start up a business, even if they're small, right? Even if this generation is not successful or the next. But I look up to him more than the guy who works for the white corporation. You know what I mean? And making a lot of money working for this big white corporation, making a ton of money. Because, yeah, you're making good money, but you're working for the white corporation and that system. The father and the son, they're planting seeds, and that's what we need. We need black-owned businesses because we're going to hire our own people. We're going to be able to not have to assimilate. And that's what we deal with at the workplace. Racism, if it's owned and controlled by the white folks, we always got to assimilate. We always feel that weight on our shoulders at the workplace and life. And it takes a toll on us. A lot of, when you see our people spazzing out and these issues sometimes where, you know what I mean? This shit takes a toll on us, man.
For example, if you ever walk into Wong Wok, and you see like most Chinese restaurants are run by the immediate Asian family, like it's mom, son, father, cousin, etc. that are back there working, etc. They don't really hire outside of the family unless it's necessary. But when you walk in there, because it's an Asian establishment, you know, and I say Asian because I don't want to assume that they're Korean or Chinese or whatever. But when you know, it's a certain ethnic culture there, and because they're running their own business, everybody there is comfortable within their own culture. I'm assuming, right? You know, it's the same thing. You go into a bodega, everybody, you know, it's Hispanic owned, so everybody's comfortable inside their own culture. You know, that they can speak their language. They don't have to assimilate to English, you know, etc. So
you know who understood this really well?
Get your own, man.
And was part of his message that understood this really well, and he's right there on the wall, Brother Malcolm X. And I actually got one of his pieces. I got one of his clips where he's actually saying this exact thing, talking about how other groups, particularly like the Irish and other folks, came down, the Russians, and supported each other. Even though they didn't have a lot of education, they started little businesses, which then turned into factories. And he's just making an argument on saying how that's what we need to do. And it's so the answer to, like, a lot of our issues are really related to economics. But this is a piece right here.
If white immigrants can come to this country 50 years ago with nickels and dimes and no education, and come here and pool their little nickels and dimes and no education, and set up little stores, develop these stores into larger stores, develop this into an industry which creates job opportunities for whites. Since Lincoln was supposed to have freed the black man 100 years ago, and today the black man, according to the government economists, has spending power of $20 billion per year. We feel that with the black man spending $20 billion a year, not setting up any businesses, not creating any industry, not creating any job opportunities for his own kind, he's not in a moral position to point the finger today at the white man and tell the white man that he's discriminating against him for not giving him a job in factories that he himself set up. If the black man has $20 billion, and these so-called Negro leaders are such geniuses that they can integrate white restaurants and integrate white factories and force themselves into that which the white man has set up, they should use this same ingenuity to show the black people how to pool our wealth and set up something of our own. And then we won't have to force our way into his anymore. One more thing I would like to point out concerning what I said about 125th Street. We don't waste our time on 125th Street, but you can reach more people in the street who want to change than you can in the bourgeoisie society, the bourgeoisie church, and the bourgeoisie circle.
That's why we love him right there. But
You know what's crazy? He says that video was like what, like
60s.
roughly 60s.
Yeah.
He said our spending power was $20 billion back then. If that was true, can you imagine what that spending power is
now
right now?
all these artists, all these celebrities that have made millions.
Son.
But he just
So
so
nothing's changed since then. Like, I mean, granted, by facts, there are probably more black-owned businesses today than back then.
Facts. Definitely more millionaires.
You know,
like
but
athletes,
not significantly more.
Like think about
you know?
sports. Think about basketball, football. How many millionaires, baseball of color we gotta have? Like,
But do those really count? If like, does it really count if we have more black-owned businesses now? If still that black wealth isn't being generated back?
oh no,
in the
we
community?
haven't. Like
Floyd Mayweather. You know, he makes millions.
No, we
but
haven't.
how much of it goes back to us?
It doesn't. Dr. Claude Anderson actually makes the argument, and he really breaks down how we haven't, since back then, since slavery, we were doing better during segregation because in terms of like wealth, like during that time we supported our own. We had to. We created businesses were flourishing, and he just breaks down how we don't have wealth, and that's what a lot of our issues related to. Kind of the same discussions that we usually have. You know?
Right.
But yeah, man.
That reminds me of the Malcolm X movie. There was a scene in that long ass movie.
Was it like 4 hours, right? 3
Son,
hours.
man,
My dad took me to watch it, and I remember
it went from when he was
shaking.
a pimp to not a pimp, but like
he was pimping. He was a hustler.
He was pretty much pimping.
He had that limp. That limp was mean.
Pimping the dead.
He had that mean limp.
Shoot. They called him Red, I think it was.
Yeah, Red. That was his name in Boston. Detroit
What up, Red?
Detroit Red. Yeah, a lot of people don't know, but Malcolm X, he was locked up right here in Mass. When he was hustling right here in Boston, he was locked up in Norfolk. You know, so we can claim X. We can claim X out here in Mass. You know.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? Detroit Red.
I remember there was a scene in that movie where there was a white girl at a college he went to go speak at, and she came up to him and said, "Hey, I'm really down for the struggle. I'm really happy about all the things that you're doing. Just a question for you: what are some things that us as the white community can do to help you all?"
Yeah.
And he was pretty much like, "Not a goddamn thing."
Yeah.
And what he meant by that was,
we gotta solve our own problems.
Exactly.
Y'all ain't gonna come save us.
Exactly. Like that's what the point of ownership is. Like,
exactly.
You could be our ally, defend
Don't
us.
feel bad for us. Oh, poor people. We got it in us to handle our own, basically.
Exactly.
But he changed, his theory evolved around white people. Like, he admitted that he was wrong. A lot of people won't do that, And he was one where at first he said all white people were devils. And then he went to Mecca. That's really...
He was against interracial relationships.
I've researched the issue.
My name is Jacqueline Velez. I'm with Neighbor to Neighbor. I worked closely with Jafet. I have a lot of memories with him, mostly work-related. But the time we shared, the times that we spoke when we were alone, were very deep, and I, felt closer to him than I would any coworker. What I'm holding on to mostly right now is how he would hold me up, how he would encourage me in this work, and he always told me he had my back. I feel I have to honor his legacy and continue to work on the work that he wanted to win or see laws passed. I feel like that work is so important, and now more than ever. I feel an urgency to get it done as soon as humanly possible. I feel like it's gonna be hard, and I'm gonna need everybody that worked with him and alongside him to help me. He did a lot of things. He had a lot of moving parts at the same time, and they say it takes a village to raise a child, and I feel it's gonna take a village to get these things done, and I cannot do them without his members, without his friends, without his family, and co-workers. And I know they're all gonna come together to help me. We're gonna help each other through this. I'm not ready to share specific memories yet, because I feel this thing within me, right? Like, he's with me in a way that's gonna help propel me to do this. Mm-hmm. And I'm holding on to that for dear life. Mm-hmm. I need to grieve my friend, but I feel that what's going to help me grieve him is to uplift him, uplift his work, and make sure that we get rid of these mandatory minimums. We get as many people registered to vote as possible, that we help the people that are running for office that are going to help make these changes that he wanted to see. And that is, the charge I'm charged with. That's what I have to do.
Yeah, so my name is Yvette Hernandez. I'm down in the North End. I've met Jafet a while back. I want to say 2008, 2009 maybe. Maybe before that. I used to live on Lexington Street when I first met him. That was the time that Neon existed. That was the North End organizing network through New North. People wanted more programs for our kids. They need after-school programs. We need to get them out of the streets at a young age so that they can get activities. Jafet was big in getting kids into sports. He loved sports. And so we did that, but there was a lot of pushback by already leaders, established leaders. But that didn't stop him. And, we kept in touch. We kept putting pressure. Eventually, I ran for state rep, and that's when he went all the way for me, all the way, as well as Calvin Feliciano and 509, SEIU 509, my union, and they went all the way. Kim Rivera, who also ran for city council. They, from the moment they would wake up to the moment they would go to sleep, they taught me so much. And by the time I ran, I had already learned a lot by both SEIU and Jafet. We explored that mapping of who has the power in this neighborhood. Right. Who controls the money and everything in this neighborhood, and who we need to be going to or avoiding, or whatever the case may be. Jafet went all out. I don't know where he got the energy, and he would knock on doors for me while he was still being a dad, while he's still doing other things. I'm like, dude, he had energy for everything and would give everybody a little bit of his time, which was amazing. And so after I ran, and of course I didn't run, I came second place. We used that to further connect to people in the community and bring people together, and he did an awesome job with that. And I like to the very last day I learned from him, because it didn't really matter who people were. He's like, Yvette, forget the petty disagreements, forget that, look at the bigger picture. We gotta work together. We're in this together.
Alright, so my name is Isaiah Cerna. First met Jafet. At Putnam Vocational Technical Academy when a part of a BSEP program, and some of the best and most important memories I've had where, you know, he inspired me to like speak out. He inspired me to, you know, like be the voice of those who don't have a voice. And one of the most important things that like that I will never forget about Jafet was that during the event of the School to Prison Pipeline Speak Out, after I gave out my speech, I remember him, Shaitia, and a couple others, they pulled me to the side, and you know, they started telling me how proud of me that that they were and everything. And it was at that moment where, you know, I started to bond with him even more, because, you know, I'm usually the type of kid that I usually get caught up for my negative actions, things of like that I've done on mistakes, and you know, I've grown up having like negative things like hanging over my head, and like having like very few people like Jafet say like that they're proud of me. It like deep inside it broke me. Like I didn't show tears, I didn't show what's the word like I didn't show that I was touched. Like I showed like it was normal. Yeah, I didn't show it. Like I was like, oh yeah, thanks, but deep inside, you know, it touched me. You know what I mean? So it was after that where we really started bonding. And that I remember, you know, like how I told you earlier, I'll never forget that time where me and Jafet, we were laughing about how I accidentally scared him going to the radio station. And you know, like you know, like how we used to just like how we were talking about how there's been like a lot of police brutality, how there's been a lot of how you say that, like excessive force among kids, especially of color. And after sharing my experience, you know, like I remember he told me like I guess he was telling people that we act alike, because I guess we have like that same fire. And it was like, you know, he was basically like the brother that I never had but always wanted. You know what I mean? It was just that I felt like within such a short time, like it was like as if we known each other for like our entire lives. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he inspired me to do what I want to do, be what I wanted to be. And that's why, you know, I want to return the favor. I want to carry out his legacies. You know what I mean? Like, because I want to make sure that what he wanted is what he will get. You know what I mean? Like, you know, even though, you know, now he's gone, you know, and I'm still heard about it. I'm pretty sure everyone's still heard about it. But, like, I want to make sure that, you know, until he gets what he gets, I'm not going to be at peace. And it's like, it's like what Jafet's signature quote, what I've been seeing for the past few days. What do you want to be remembered for? You know, and I wanted to post this, and as a matter of fact, I wanted to post this tonight on Facebook, where, like, what do you want to be remembered? Doing things that cause a change in the world, or do you want to be remembered as the one watching others do what you wanted? You know, so that's why, you know, like, so Jafet's like quote has been like, you know, that his quote has been in my mind a lot too, because like, you know, because I've been always asking myself, what do I want to be remembered for? You know, and I've been thinking about that, thinking about my past, thinking about all those people who said that I couldn't do it, that I can't do it. I want to be remembered as the one that I can do it, the one that makes everybody's mouths drop to the floor when they see that I succeeded. You know, the one that honors someone that he lost, that he was really close to, and that he felt that he was close to, you know, and honoring his desires, you know, and carrying on what he wanted in life. You know, and that's what I want to be remembered for.
So, to tie it back into the workplace.
We went deep right there.
To tie it back into the workplace, you can either be the Malcolm X of at your job.
Yeah.
Or, but seriously though, it's all about culture, man. If you're stepping into someone else's lane, someone else's something that they've already established, they have a certain set of rules and culture
they're accustomed to.
That
you come in trying to change those systems with new creative ideas.
Exactly.
People don't like change, even if
they want you to
that's
talk
what
a certain
leaders
way.
do. That's what us leaders do, though. We irritate people. We come in, we got creative ideas, we're innovative, and people don't like it. I think a lot of times people don't really like leaders, you know what I'm saying, when they're out here. When they're dead, then we're fans. But when they're out here, you know, when you look, a lot of people are really not too much of a fan, you know?
I feel. Now, do you think it ever goes so far, like, as to say, what if someone came into work with a hijab on, and the company has a strict no hijab policy?
I would not work for a company that has
like in that.
policy.
But is their policy justified? Because that is their culture.
Hell no. To me, it's not. Like, you have to be aware of your surroundings. Like, obviously, you're going to determine who you hire, right? If I'm Puerto Rican, then I get to choose, right? So if he's Puerto Rican, I might connect with him, but I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm only going to hire Puerto Ricans. Like, I got to keep it open. It's my choice, right? I'm going to get along. I'm going to be with these people every day. I probably want to be with those Puerto Ricans more. But I can't openly be like, nah, no policy, like straight Puerto Ricans at my door. That's it. To me, that's like, it's unethical, unconstitutional. I don't know, all those words, right?
I agree with that.
You know?
However, with the hijab thing, because I can understand, like, for instance, if you're at an establishment and you want everybody's hair to be out, or you're at an establishment where you don't want anybody wearing hats, and to you, because you're not Muslim, you know, a hijab is a hat to you.
Yeah.
You know, so I can understand why a business would say that. But I mean, usually most of the cases because they don't want to scare away customers because
that's basically what it is.
They don't want people thinking that their employees are terrorists or whatever.
And that's why I feel like
ignorant. But,
to me, the business owner, at the end of the day, you have that last call. Like, you won't put that publicly, but you get to not hire them, even if it's that. It's like guys with felonies. Like, I was out there with a felon, and nobody hired me, and I guarantee you, if you asked them, they would never admit that's not why they hired me, right? Like, they would be like, oh no, but realistically, that's not why they hired me. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's no way to determine that or measure. So employees have that advantage. At the end of the day, you're the owner, you got the last say. So screw the policy, you calling the shots, you know what I'm saying?
So get you some power.
That's it, man. Business ownership, you know?
Give some shout outs to some people in the fuss zone.
Yeah.
On this topic, we got beautiful D Som.
D for what?
Beautiful D Som. That's her name on Facebook.
All right, shout out to her.
The Cambodian princess.
Ooh, shout out to my Cambodian sisters.
I don't have to balance who I am in or out of work. I am exactly who I am everywhere I'm at.
Hey.
And if I'm not, I probably wouldn't have a job.
Okay.
I fucks with it.
I think her job is probably like my job, where you're like, man, this is me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
think you could always be yourself, right? You should never have to play the game.
I mean, if you knew her, you probably know, like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't know her.
Yeah, she has a very outgoing personality.
Oh, strong. Yeah, you got those.
Very, very strong. You know, like, I mean, plus, I feel like once you get to a certain age, like, people, like, you get tired of trying to fit in.
Yeah, you just don't give a damn no more. I think I'm there. I hit that a couple.
Like, I stopped giving a damn, like, around high school. You know, because when I left, I was trying to fit in so much at high school. Then I got to college, and I was realizing I don't even like half the stuff I be talking about sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, like I just be lying about stuff. Like, I don't really like going out to nightclubs. I don't really like. Right, I ain't like going. I don't find nothing fun about being in the middle of the club, waiting for a girl to come grind up on me. Like, that's usually what these nightclubs were like, and it's boring. Wasted $20 and $30 on drinks, and it's stupid.
30, man. What's our shoot?
Atlanta, bro. It's Atlanta.
Oh, okay, I forgot.
It's Atlanta. Oh, also shout outs to Chris Ireland. I would rather people know me and respect me for the real me, not someone I pretend to be at work.
Ooh, that's what I'm talking about.
We got some rebels on this thing.
But when do you have to bite your tongue for certain things, though?
I feel you have to.
That's my question. Like,
wait, so say that again.
Like, certain things that even though you're yourself, like certain things you gotta let slide, right? Like it's your boss, but you gotta keep your mouth shut. Cause like say my boss is, I'm just giving a dumb example. My boss is a Republican, right? And like there's certain things I'm not gonna bring up as a, on the other issue. Like,
right.
I just think sometimes we have to, right? Like if your boss is gonna cut your check, sometimes we're in situations where we have to. If not, that's gonna affect your pay. So like when
that
when
also
are you
depends
selling
on
out? When are you being a coward? And when are you just kind of doing the thing that makes sense and controlling your emotions, right? Like,
right.
How do we find that? I don't know.
I think that's based off of, because it's based off a lot of factors. One, I think the most important factor is where you are in life. So if you're at a point where you have no job, you have no experience to fall back on, you need this job to help your resume build up. Because you can't just leave this job and get another one.
That's where I'd be at.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm kind of there, but I'm kind of not.
Yeah.
Like I got some.
You got good things. You got.
I got some polish on there.
You got the,
I got some polish.
But you're still black though. So you
yeah.
got it easy. You got
and I'm
easy.
young.
Yeah.
So people look at me like, oh, he's a baby.
So you got.
So I don't really get the pay I deserve.
Think about those things like,
Yeah. So I thought about that before I made my decision. I'm gonna talk to you about later. But at the same time, if you think you got it, if you think you're that confident that you're gonna find another job after this, then yeah, go ahead, be yourself, get fired, or be yourself, get and quit, or face those consequences. But if you you're in a position where you need this job, and what they're having you do isn't anything that is conflicting with your dignity or conflicting with your identity, or conflicting with a loved one, I would say keep doing it. Because as long as they're not, for instance, as long as I don't go into work and my coworkers aren't like wearing blackface, or like I go into work and like there's like a girl that's like lying about me, sexually harassing her, or like some like that,
crazy.
Something crazy like that would damage me in the long run. I don't care what situation you're in, you need to get out.
Yeah.
You seriously need to get out, because you don't ever want to let anyone think that they own you, because that would be ownership.
I feel like we need to find ways to get more economically stable. So I call it the fuck it money, excuse me. And it's basically like, if you're at a job and you're dealing with this racism, you're in a job you don't like, if you got fuck it money, which is a little money for rent, right, to eat,
it's should be a good G.
You know what I mean? Then you can say grand. That's when you can tell your boss,
hell yeah,
fuck you. And I've done it when I didn't have the fucking money, and it felt so good. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I told that racist home improvement boss, even though I got paid well, when I told him, like, I used to, just make a lot of money for him. I got abused. That moment when I told him, fuck you, I'm good. I'm all done. And like, just to teach him that lesson, it feels good. It feels so good. So I just think that if you don't like your job, I think sometimes when we got kids, we can't just quit, right? Because we have to.
Exactly.
You can't be in your feelings, but
sometimes you're not in that situation.
It goes back to that being economically stable and having that fucking money. Because you want to have, at the same time, if you got a job you don't like, you want to do something you love. And like, I quit when I left that other job. I got this job, you know what I mean? And I took a chance, and sometimes you got to take a chance, I can't determine to tell you, yeah, take that chance, but sometimes people do leave that job when they don't, and it gets rough first, but then they find it. So at the end of the day, that's something we all got to meditate on ourselves, right? But
speaking of that, since we kind of just jumped into it, my next question was going to be, when is it the right time to quit your job? When is it the right time to pack it up, leave? Cause I was watching this video the other day, right? And it was 10 reasons you need to leave your job. I was like, 10? Like, could there possibly be 10? And I was looking at a lot of this stuff sounded like, like these are stuff that maybe a really well off, established, middle class
the
employee
shit we be dealing with.
do.
We got bills. We got a lot of shit on our mind.
Like one of those things was, if your boss undermines, if your boss doesn't recognize you like you want to be recognized, like, I don't give a damn. It's like, I'm doing my work. My like, especially if this isn't my career.
I think what they mean by that though is like, if you're working hard and your boss doesn't even like know like doesn't it, like imagine you're killing yourself and your boss thinks you're not. That eventually is gonna burn you down.
I mean,
within
personally,
3 years.
I think if
they
it
don't
bothers
know.
you, then that means that this is a job that really means a lot to you, and that means it's not a job. It's a career step.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like what I'm talking about is like a job. Like I don't really care if my boss at Dunkin' Donuts doesn't recognize my hard work and how fast I put together. You know what I'm saying? The sandwich. Because I don't really care about making it to the upper levels. I just want to make enough so that I can move on.
But the point was,
know?
say you were actually taking the time to be there half hour early, and you did do the extra. Obviously, you wouldn't, but if you were, then that would take a toll.
And that's why I left my current. That's why I left my current situation.
Yeah, I just say it because I've been in those situations where I was killing myself and I wasn't, and it was like. It just wasn't a good situation, and I felt like that. So
absolutely, if you believe you are an asset to an organization, a company, a nonprofit, whatever. If you believe you bring something to the table, you know that if you left, the place would fall. You know, it will crumble because you know that you are the broken chair that keeps this thing from tipping over. And you know that they're not recognizing you the way that you want to be recognized, the way you have expressed to them that you want to be recognized. You've asked for that promotion. You've asked for more vacation time. You asked for this. You asked for that. You asked for higher pay, and they just keep rejecting you. They don't really see that you're doing that work effort, and once again, you know that you can find another opportunity somewhere else. Don't be afraid to take your talent somewhere else. Sometimes people gotta learn the hard way.
Yeah, you gotta let them know. Employers will take advantage of folks and take people for granted, not see all you doing. And then when you leave, they gotta hire 2 people to do your position. They're paying double.
Exactly.
When they were being stubborn, treating you like crap. Like, I love to teach them managers a lesson, and that should be, to this day, I think about it, it felt so good those times that those managers who were taking me for granted, when I just left on them. And did, brother, this time.
And a lot of reasons why they do that.
It's like a pleasure to that.
They do that because they think that, and because of the condition that this country is in right now, that we're not going to be able to find another job right after this. But they don't understand. Millennials don't give a damn.
Yeah,
Millennials will go a year without a job before they let you disrespect
We'll create
them.
a job now.
Right.
All the shit we got.
All these different platforms, man. Like
we'll figure it out.
They need to get with the program. And I'm not saying that means you need to start letting your employees run you over. What I'm saying is you need to give credit where credit is due. If you know you got an employee and they put in that work, they putting in more than just that work. They're excelling. They're going above and beyond for this company, and they're an asset. You know that they keep this thing flowing naturally. You keep it a natural cycle. If you don't want to lose them, you need to treat your employees right. And if there's a reason why you can't give them what they're requesting, you need to express that to them. And why not? Because sometimes it's not always they have it and they're not giving it to me. Sometimes, like when you work for a nonprofit, or like neighbor to neighbor, like I'm sure you ask for a promotion, they just can't give it to you right now because they don't have that funding. Yeah. Or they can't give you that higher pay, they don't have the funding. They can't give you the more vacation time because
I think the point is though, if the manager is at least saying like, listen, you're doing good and you deserve this. We don't got the funds right now, but you do deserve this, and I respect that. We're gonna fundraise to get it. Then I think the person will be like, word, like, you know what I mean? I think when you go to a nonprofit, you kind of know that it's not a lot of money in it. And
if you think you're gonna be a millionaire at a nonprofit, I'm letting you know right now. I've worked for 5. You're not gonna get there.
We need millionaires.
It's a nice stepping stone.
So like business, go into business ownership to do that. Nonprofits is more if you want to make a difference, create some kind of some change, some kind of service program, leave a legacy, an impact. But nonprofit ain't no money in that, man. Come on now. I ain't gonna lie. Some executive directors do make good money though.
But I love it, man. I love working for nonprofits because they do the good work. Most of these jobs are like really in it. Like they're really out there in the field. They're hands on. They're really. Just forthright, and I absolutely love it. And it's purposeful work.
I actually think like you would create a really cool, like before you left this earth, I could see you innovating some kind of.
I'm thinking about it.
Some kind of program or something.
I'm thinking
you're
about
pretty
it.
creative.
You coming out to April 9th?
Yeah.
April 9th, we got how do I turn ideas into businesses the first live show at
library, no?
Springfield City Library.
Yes.
3 p.m. to 5 p.m.
And look at that. We just spoke about, y'all heard my brother Malcolm X come out the woodworks talking about the business ownership, and we talking about the stress that we deal with at the workspace, right? Having to assimilate. Well, here we have it. We're going to bring you someone that's going to break down how to turn your ideas.
4 people. 4 experts in entrepreneurship.
Into businesses. This is what we talk about, folks. Get that money, man. Start getting into business ownership. Believe in you.
And you know what this event is for? This event is for the people at home who they hear me and you talk all day long. They hear me, you, the whole Polemic people. They might hear their mom, their boss, their friends talk about how we need to build our own businesses. We need to start our own companies. We need to, take our ideas, start our own organizations. They may hear it, but they probably just kind of shove it off because they tell themselves, oh, nah, I really pay attention to that. There's no way I'm going to start my own business because I don't have the money for it. Or there's no way I'm going to start my own business because who's going to support me?
It used to be like that. It used to be like that. But now with social media, back in the day, it was really hard for people to start a business. But now it's really so much easier in today's.
Estamos aquí frío. Vamos a hacer un hip hop, un freestyle como Jafet lo quería. Jafet used to love his music, and that was I would like to say that was like his first love. That was a gift that he had that people out here they don't understand how gifted when it came to just Jafet, and people didn't understand. It was like he was the master of no one, but he was just so ill with whatever it was, and I think it was just more like relating to people and being able to use that organizing, because he's been through so many different situations that he can relate to the actual situation somebody in the community is going through, especially in an impoverished community like the North End where we came from. Organizing with Jafet was a blessing, and seeing him organize with Yvette was like kind of the first time I really seen him going hard. Before, he was going to these meetings in Harena. And I used to do these tournaments in the hood, and I used to just say, whatever, I'll holler at you. I'll get with you, brother. And, just not understanding the power of organizing, because even though I must have been, because of, my parents, I voted every time it was time to vote. And I read about organizing and organizers, but really understanding how deep the position can be for a person, the relationships that you built. Was best. And with his music, when you hear his new music versus the music when I was a kid that we used to do, you can hear that he had actually a message that he wanted to teach people, that you can change, that change is possible. And he wanted to use every single outlet possible to actually put it out there. And that was, organizing, doing things with you, Terrence, with Polemic people. Love to interview. Who would have thought? He enjoyed going out and volunteering on other different, things in the community, like coaching his son's basketball team out in Morgan Park. But he used to even go on a national level and a state level to do his thing, to build relationships with other people, which I thought was awesome. And Neighbor to Neighbor, I think, was a really good asset to him becoming who he was, because he got to be able to go to week long with People's Action and meet like our brother that's here with us today, Chris, and other individuals that are associated, like from Illinois. This network is deep. It has deep roots and communities like where he came from. And it was easy to relate to the people there and be understood. And find the courage to speak, to know that you have thousands of people and millions of other folks around the nation that can really understand what we're going through, and that's the bottom 99%. Homelessness is real. Employment is another reality. Trying to find equity in education, and trying to figure out with all this funding coming to our city, him trying to figure out why isn't there enough programs, or maybe if it's not the program, but something like if there's not enough money for programs, why don't we make sure that our parks are 110% tip-top shape, knowing that's a place where everybody, when you're growing up, goes to. The park is supposed to be for recreation and to keep our minds off of things, so then we can be in fellowship with his youth sports and team building. But they don't want to do that. It's always a problem to fix the swings, to get the slide, to trim the hedges, to get it all put together. And then you go to other parks around us in the burbs, and they don't even got to worry about a swing set breaks. It gets fixed immediately. Like they would even go a week or 2 days with. They got those on surplus. They ordered extra. You know, I don't know. That's what it seems. But you know, my memories with Jafet will be. There were a lot. You know, in different places, organizing around different things. But the most and the best thing that I remember Jafet for is his gift for music. You know, his music talent, writing wise, being able to, you know, catch the tempo and use his wordplay. He was very good with his words. He knew how to say it, when to say it, and it was always on time. And it's always motivational. That was a gift that he had, and I think he used that when he wrote speeches, and he used that, you know, because you have to control the tempo, you know. But I'm gonna pass it to Chris from Buffalo, see if he wants to say anything about our brother Jafet. But it was an honor, man, to really understand what support was meeting Jafet Robles, because you know you always have your support from your family or the people that love you or whoever they may be, you know, people that you know that you are naturally around, because sometimes blood is thicker than water. But to really see what he did for Yvette, and seeing what he did for me when it was time to knock doors and really to organize and to talk to people about change that was necessary, he definitely was a person that not only that I counted on, but you know I can appreciate, and made me realize what it took to really cross the finish line. You know, and that was just not one finish line that we crossed. It was just part of it. So being able to grow up and live and represent and start your own business in fellowship with my guy Jafet has been an honor, and I'll never let his legacy and his movement, you know, go in vain. So God bless.
So my name is Christian. I came down from Buffalo. Tuesday morning I get a call from Jackie, which I couldn't believe. And it got more real when Marvin called me. I felt like we lost a huge leader. That he still had a lot more history to be written and to be spoken about, because he definitely would have did it. I never seen somebody as powerful as him as another organizer. His ambitions and my ambitions on how we used to speak about the change that we're actually making in those communities and really about it. I see even organizers in Buffalo that would never put in the work. And people tell me, yo, Christian, you're going to burn out. Stop moving so fast. But how can I even move any slower when you see people like Jafet actually doing it, building power, knocking on the doors and building the relationships? And I always tell everybody, knowledge is power and people power is all about relationships. And he got it. And I'm seeing it right here. So basically, like, there's some people that are scared to actually build the power and a way of being known and a way of people looking at you and having a world view because you was an ex-drug dealer. I was in the streets at one time, so I understand leaving that lifestyle, that money, that greed. But at the end of the day, it never brought happiness. And for the first time, you know, as an organizer, actually building relationships and people actually caring about you in a way that they respect your work, they respect your word, your loyalty. And even coming to Springfield, you know, to going to Boston in the office of Neighbor to Neighbor, going to Lynn with Marvin, and actually seeing a lot of people that cared about one individual, not even because of his morals or anything, but more importantly because of his actions. He took action. He was not a lazy person laid back. And
always laughing, smiling, always fighting over the women. Like, Christian, you're gonna get this one. Like, nah, I'm gonna get that. But most importantly, he taught me to always know that we can fight. And I remember following Ephraim and Jafet all hyped up in Chicago, like, yo, why y'all keep putting this fist up? And I just followed along, and even if you look at my Facebook throughout the whole entire year, I probably put up that fist in 50 to 100 different pictures. It week-long opened me up, and Marvin standing next to me, and getting everybody together was like a dream. Like, I remember in that church going on my knees, because you remember the church, Marvin, that was there? It was weird, but it was in some nun palace. But at the end of the day, I had got on my knees, and I remember praying, and I couldn't think of nothing good and nothing bad that week. All I could say was thank you, because I was around some powerful people that really want to make change. I was like, damn it. And I didn't even know Jafet was doing it for that long already. Like, I'm like inspired by him since the day I met him. So I just been looking at what he's been doing in the last year and a half. And to actually see the empowerment, that the history that needs to be said about Jafet, if it's not said, there's another man in our time that's going to be like a Rosa Parks that was supposedly a weak woman that couldn't go to the back seat. Instead, she was a strong activist that said, fuck that, I'm not getting up. They try to rewrite our history. And because Jafet was doing history, it's probably the reason that he's not even here, because nobody even knows. And it just sucks that we could have made more history together. Like, that's how I see it. Marvin's next to me, and he better win city council. Like, it's getting more real. Like, seeing people getting elected, especially by one individual inspiring people. That's why at the end of the day, if any hustler ever hears this, like, understand that we could build power in a whole nother way. I'm about this life, and I knew Jafet was about this life, and I respected him for that. But more than that, I respected him as a man, because he never lied. He was a real fucking person. You're never going to find real people in this world that's about their word, about their past. There's no lie in him.
Hello, man. My name is Marvin Hippolyte. I'm from Lynn, Massachusetts. It's about an hour 45 from Springfield. I met Jafet about 2 years ago when I was leaving school. And to be honest, I was having a real rough time. You know, nothing was really working out for me at that time. I was really down on my luck, struggling through depression. I was working at a factory, and you know, it wasn't a good situation because we weren't being treated well. And I was seeing all the struggle around me that I was learning in school. But I just didn't have that outlet, you know. You just watching yourself struggling with rent, struggling with all that. And then I linked up with Neighbor to Neighbor. I wasn't really about it at first, you know. I was sort of like one of those loner kids, you know. And I attend this meeting. And I go there, and on the first night, thank goodness, it was Jafet and Maria Elena. I don't know if I would have been a part of Neighbor to Neighbor still if my first night there wasn't Jafet and Maria Elena, to be honest with you. And I get there, and he just starts telling his story, you know, talking about his journey, talking about all the struggles, all the hurdles he had to overcome. You know, you could hear the pain, you could hear the struggle, you could hear the growth, you could hear, like, when he was speaking, that this was a real person, you know. He was naked, like someone who was fully with himself, you know. You know, from just hanging out with Neighbor to Neighbor, eventually started talking to him. Started watching him on Facebook, watching him the way he spoke in his speeches. I remember one speech in particular. He's on the steps of City Hall, and he's just talking about the history of marijuana. He's just keeping it buck real 100. Talking about this is a racist law in 1930s, saying yo, dressed in black, and I'm like, yo, fam, I'm like, how do you speak with that?
He explained it crazy.
Yo, the way he broke it down, it was just so crazy. I was just like, damn, how do you speak with that fire?
I have so many good memories, and I thank you for the opportunity, Mac. But I have so many good memories that we built, and I just feel like needing more time. Hopefully we can meet again. I don't want to leave nothing out. But when I met Jafet, we two people of the same kind because we come from the hood. We love our hood, and we wasn't afraid to show that love or be a man of God and do his work. Let me tell you about a lot of conversation that we had during the road trips. We went to the Million Man March with Adam, me, Jafet. That day, I think it changed our perspective as going to the Million Man March. Great experience to the point where we came back with fire and doing God's work and God's will. We considered ourselves God's soldiers. And we came back, and then we pushed so hard when we got Adam Gomez elected. And it was powerful because we were being very positive. We knew we could do it. We was out there every day. That set the tone for a lot of things. We won so many fights. Or any battle that we fought, we got more wins than losses. And we wasn't going to settle with the loss. Something that I love. I wish I could have been more outspoken, but at that time I was on probation. But he was my spokesman. He like we say in Spanish, le daba batería y me daba batería a mí. I gave him battery to go out there when he was feeling down with that positive energy, and then when I'm feeling down, he would actually give me that positive energy back.
Hello, my name is Ernesto Cruz, and I knew Jafet from when he was with Voices from the community when we went on a 3-day training on doing racism at People's Institute, and we talked about systems of oppression for 3 days and talked about racism and how it's ingrained into the fabric of this nation. And you look at it from an intellectual perspective. Instead of lashing out, we learn how to overcome. And even back then, Jafet was like an amazing organizer that would like tell his story, which is like what an organizer does. And like he would just open himself up so that you felt comfortable opening yourself up, and that's how we got everyone to connect with him one-on-one. Like, and he related to everyone in the room, and he explained to people who never knew what his side of the tracks looked like, what it looked like, and they had to love him. like that was powerful. And then we both kept working in the community, and I ended up in government, and he did what I would do, so I can't be mad at him, but he was holding me accountable. He would look at me and be like, "Yeah, you sell out?" So he'd be judging and like he'd be measuring all the time, like, did he sell out, did he not sell out, did he sell out, did he not sell out? Like, he'd be measuring all the time. Like, he would be constantly like, and that's how real he was. That's how real he was, because he wasn't about any one person. He was about fighting for what was right. So it's like he'd look at everybody the same way. Like, he was, you know what I mean? Like, he was thinking like that.
You elected to hold you accountable the next day.
Yeah, because that's just what he's about. Like, and it's a shame that it isn't until a moment like this that people are gonna do what they should have done a long time ago and realize the meaning of his words. And I don't mean us, because us down here, we get that. Like, we get that because we live the struggle. And it wasn't until he brought his struggle and other people's struggles to people who are making decisions, who are judging from an ivory tower, who aren't thinking about what we go through. It wasn't until then that things started changing. And the reason why I love Jafet is because, like, we were fighting for the same thing regardless of how we get there. We wanted to see everybody involved. We wanted to see people stand up for themselves. We wanted people to be empowered. And it's like, that's what he lived what he believed, and that's something like, if you don't live what you believe, I don't like being around you. It's fake to me. And he wasn't fake. He lived what he believed, and that's why everyone, as you go around, like, he was real with everybody in their own real way. Like, it's just like, it was a personal connection. That's something we have to carry on, is we have to look at how he looked at everybody as an individual and not judge them and work with where they're at. It's like, we were supposed to do more. Like, he's in his world and I'm in my world, and at some point our worlds were supposed to work together and coordinate and do something bigger, and I feel like that was taken from all of us. I don't even care for the circumstances. It's not right. Like, it's just like, he had a lot to offer, a lot to give, and he gave without wanting anything back. He wasn't looking for anything back. He was doing it because it was the right thing to do, and that was it. Like, that was it. It was for no other reason than the fact that it was the right thing to do for more people. He wanted to ease people's suffering. He wanted to make people feel like what they never had, and it's just horrible. But it's also a blessing. It's a blessing because we get to learn from it, and I don't want to look at it in a negative way. We take the good because he did a lot of good, and I think all those stories mean something. I think those stories are bigger than any one of us.
Thank y'all for sharing. The political waters of Springfield, Massachusetts are looking quite boily.
Oh yeah,
They're boiling.
Millennials, man. Millennials is showing up, grabbing up nominations papers. Janae
Listen.
already got hers in. She was the first one.
Let's go down the list.
Turned them in.
On Monday, I went on my timeline. I think it was Monday, and I saw nothing but people that I grew up in Springfield admiring as community organizers, mentors, leaders, like straight up social justice.
So let's do the breakdown.
Celebrities, if you will.
As we name them.
Yes.
We're gonna do the name, right? And then you give a quick minute on what you know about them, how you know about them, and then we'll just, we're giving people our view on how we know.
All right, real
quick. So, who do we got first on? Would you?
Ernesto Cruz. Shout outs to Ernesto, man.
Ernesto.
He's running for city council at large. One of the many.
Second time.
I know him personally because he reached out to me when I was going through that struggle, trying to find a job. He was one of the people trying to help me find a job. He offered me a position helping out State Representative Jose Tosado. I expressed to him that I was a political science graduate, and that I'm interested in helping people. And politics isn't really my forte at the moment, but I appreciate him offering me the opportunities and to shadow him and the state rep and all the work that they do. And I've heard him say to me over and over again how much he admires, the things that I talk about and my advocacy for and feminism and and how he shares that same advocacy. So in my book, Ernesto Cruz is he's all around real good guy, and he's putting his work from what he's told me. Because I've been out of Springfield for a minute now. But from what he's told me, what I've seen, Ernesto's been he's been a foot soldier for a while now. But from behind the desk, and he's been doing a lot of work, networking. So yeah, great guy.
So you're giving the recommendation for people out there as a political science grad you're giving your, what's it called? Come on, how do politicians say it? They're always trying to get my endorsement.
No. I'm gonna tell you why I'm not endorsing anybody. I'm gonna tell you why I'm not endorsing anybody yet. I'm gonna tell you at the end of this though. All right. Let's go to the next.
All right. So
we got Ernesto. Who else is running?
We have, and in terms of Ernesto, I want to say
as far as like the new guys.
Before he did fight, I organized with him about trying to get the police commissioner, a public, elected by the public, so I did work with him on that. He is a grassroots organizer. He had been involved with like a Rise. He's Jose Tesado's like you mentioned. So I think, he's a young kid. How old is he? He's about my age, about 33. Puerto Rican kid.
Roughly 30s.
He's been involved for a while. Who else we have? We have Janae McDonald.
Yes, Janae.
Running, and she became a member. I met her.
She's also running for city council at large,
yes,
right?
Yep.
Okay.
I met her. She became a member of Neighbor to Neighbor when I first started, and was like one of the first members that really was active, and organized a couple events. She brought the sheriffs down. All on her own for the public to see, like as a member, volunteer, like did the press release. I felt like I just showed up to the event. It was all done. Like I felt like she organized it. So I think she's a very strong black woman, very smart, and I have faith she's gonna go out there and go hard. Like she is unapologetic, going hard for hers right now, and I think people they're sleeping on her personally.
Oh, they gonna learn. They gonna learn. Janae don't play. Man.
Mother too. She's a mom. I think like when a male who doesn't have, or even who has kids, runs for city office, like he don't gotta worry about kids, right? Like he can knock on doors all day. His schedule is different. Single moms got kids. It's a lot harder for mothers to get in office because of a lot of the barriers they face. So like we need to, volunteer and help these sisters out because they don't have a lot of the same privileges that the males who don't. Have to physically have their kids.
I would say that as far as Janae goes, I do admire that she has an executive position down at Training Resources of America. I admire the fact that she is able to work a day-to-day job at that level, and still every time there's a social justice related event coming up that relates to her, some type of grassroots movement.
That fair share training,
she's there.
Remember we took, that was like a 8-hour thing.
Yeah,
mom volunteer. We weren't getting paid for that. That's all day,
I'm sure she's always had neighbor. I see a lot of neighbor events.
Yeah, she's been involved.
So she gets out there, and she's the definition of you make time for what you want to do.
Yes.
She makes the time. She shows up, and when she shows up, she shows out, and she does a thing, and she puts a top effort in.
She will be, just notice, she will be the first city council at large that's a black woman. It'll be historical.
I did not know that.
Yes, so we're trying.
Really?
Yes, there was a.
Are we that far behind?
Brother, we just got Obama, brother. It's real.
Son.
Like we don't get it twisted. We forget sometimes. Us millennials, we ain't see a lot of this shit, so we forget sometimes. But no, brother, it's real. It is real. Man. Yeah, so it'll be historic, man. 2017, she'll be the first black city council female at large. And, that's something that to me is just symbolic. But also, I think other women of color see that. A single mom do that. And it's also inspiring and lets them know they could do it as well. So shout out to Janae McDonald, man. She's a member. And, for the record, Neighbor to Neighbor, we have an endorsement process that we do. We do political work. We're a C3 and a C4. And during elections, we always have a way of, we endorse our members, our candidates. So basically, our members will all meet and we will decide which candidates. They'll come in, we'll decide our personal questions, we'll make a vote. Me as an organizer, I really can just, make an argument on who I think they should support. But Neighbor to Neighbor, we're completely democratic. Like everything is done on a vote. This is a people's organization, member-led by the people. It can get complicated with democracy, but so like me, even though I'm stating, Janae McDonald, we haven't done that process, Neighbor to Neighbor, and it's illegal. We can get there's a lot of legalities around that we have to be careful. So I just wanted to throw that out there. We have Lamar Odom. Do you know him personally? I mean, Lamar Cook. Oh shit, Lamar Odom, yo. Yeah, yo.
Son, I caught it when you said it.
Yeah, you thinking about the NBA player, like, what? We got
Lamar Cook running for city council at large?
Yeah, he's running again.
That sounds like a familiar name.
Lamar Cook. Yeah, he ran. I know him. He owned the barbershop, give free haircuts.
We gotta elect him.
Oh yeah, he got him. He does like
free haircuts.
He does little events like free haircuts for the kids.
That's my endorsement. I don't even know him.
Just off that, right? But he's a young dude of color, man. I always see him. He's a business owner. Adam has a good relationship with him as well. He lost last year, but he seems like a really good dude, man.
It's a lot to
want
to come back. Oh yeah, him, brother with the bow tie.
Yes, that's that dude right there,
Yeah,
man. I'm
okay.
rooting for him. I like him. We haven't really got the bill
All
like
right.
that.
First
like
picture with a
neighbor
mink
to
coat.
neighbor.
I feel it.
Yeah, nah,
Yeah,
that's that dude right there. He's smooth.
Yeah,
Good
man.
for
I seen him at the. I went to bow ties and dress socks. We had a conversation. I didn't even know he was running for office.
Yeah.
Running for city at large.
He's cool.
What's up.
He's cool. He seemed like a real down to earth brother,
Okay.
and he's about his business too.
Wait, he said. Wait, it says here that I have officially pulled nomination papers for Springfield School Committee. At large with 2 sons in elementary and a son.
Oh, he's running for school committee, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for that correction. Cause
yeah, you went for school
word
committee.
on the streets was he was running for at large. Last time he ran for city council. Oh, so Lamar Cook is running for school committee at large. Great. We got to connect with him because school to prison pipeline, if he wins, we want to know if we're going to support him or not.
So shout outs to him.
Shout out to him.
Some other people that come to
we
mind.
have Giselle Vasandro, who's running. She was a neighbor to neighbor member as well. And she's running for school committee against Barbara Grenshaw.
How many seats are open on school committee right now?
They're all
open.
They're all running. Yeah.
So all the current ones that they're running.
It's actually half. Let me change that. Half they do this one, and then half they do the other term. But yeah, half of them. But the at-large ones are not. It's all the other local ward school committees that are up for seat. So Giselle will be running against her. I know Barbara's been in there for about 6 years. They're both females, both women of color. It's interesting to see how that will go. I know Giselle has been our member. She was one of our leaders who was very active before. I know she lives by Bay Street, has been organizing for a while. She went to our training, so she understands kind of. I think we need like politicians who are organizers. I don't like politicians who will promise you act like by themselves they could do something, because you can't do a whole lot. I like the organizers who are like, we need to fight this issue together, that are not saying like vote for me, that are saying kind of like Bernie, like vote for me but like stay involved, like join the movement, come to our meeting, like let us know our next step. So people that understand that you need the people to be backing you on the issues, not just you're gonna, so I hope we see more of that, amongst a lot of our candidates. So who else? Did we say more? We had Ernesto. Adam Gomez is up. He took his papers and
he's rerunning.
He's rerunning
well,
again.
Which ward?
He's in my ward of the North End, Ward 1, and
Adam. Shout out to
Adam. Adam,
whatever
man.
ward Adam and Marcus are running for again, I'm voting for them.
Yeah, Marcus.
Those two have done.
Marcus is running again. I agree, man. Big shout out to Marcus and Adam. I feel they've done
exceptional
great
work. Marcus Williams, Adam Gomez.
Adam Gomez, he's been our neighbor to neighbor leader from the jump. Any campaign, he's been on the front lines every time. So that's on a personal level. That's a brother that, election comes, I'm gonna make sure they ain't gonna outwork us. That's some dude I'm gonna be out there heavy, making sure I'm gonna always have his back, because he always got mine. So I think, did we call it right? Lamar, Janae, Ernesto.
No, we got 2 more that come to mind.
Giselle, Vasandro. We have
Jesse Letterman.
Jesse Letterman, can't leave him
City
out.
City Council at large.
Jesse Letterman, you want to hear something funny?
What's up?
Jesse Letterman is young as hell, yo. He's he graduated from my daughter's school, Renaissance, and I met him. He was so ahead of his time. He talks like I'm talking to you, right? Just in terms of politics, the way he carries himself, he just really gets it. Very bright, outspoken.
He just got his bachelor's degree
too. This
too.
dude is young, yo. How old is he? 20 what?
He's probably around my age, 20, 25, 24.
Yo, he's 23, 22, dude.
You think so?
He was when I first met him, he was 19, 21.
Is he younger than me?
He's younger than you, bro. I think probably a year or two.
I mean, he just graduated.
He just
college,
graduated high school. I was at the school, my daughter's school. It was forgot the year. It said his graduation. I'm brother, that was 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
Hey, maybe.
But he's really, I must say,
you definitely would not know it.
He's very progressive. He really gets all the issues. I've dealt with him on a personal level. He might be white, but he's definitely an ally. He definitely gets our issues. He does a lot of environmental work, but I just think he gets shit done, man. I like that kid. He lost last year, but I feel, to me, skin folk ain't always kinfolk. You know what I'm saying? You got people of color who might be in office who are not always as progressive. To me, even though Jesse's white, he really gets it, and he'll always. I feel, our organization.
That is literally the last thing I think of when I see Jesse. His skin color, or his ethnicity. Of course, it crosses my mind. Just because of
the dynamics we live in.
Yeah, the dynamics we live in. But it's the last thing that comes to my mind because when you're around him and you talk to him, I'm so used to the bigotry and the discrimination. I don't get none of that vibe from him. I don't like it. Every time I see him, it's handshake, eye contact. It's not, hey, how about you and your people come down to my rally later on. It's just like, it's just love. It's just, it's, he genuinely cares about this community.
He'll show up.
He genuinely thinks that he can do something that can impact, that can really make an impact. His mentor is Henry Twiggs, real good, great veteran out there.
Melvin Edwards.
Yeah.
He worked on his campaigns when he was in high school.
Yeah.
I was shocked at how young he was involved in politics, and kid's just really ahead of his time, man.
Yeah, man. So
shout out to that brother Jesse.
That's a good contender. We also have Tracy Whitfield.
Tracy Whitfield.
Do you know Tracy?
I've met her at a lot of community events. I don't know her personally.
She did my taxes.
But yeah, I mean, I haven't heard anything negative about her. Maybe you could know more.
She, I know her through her daughter. Me and her daughter graduated the same year at Savage. But then, Facebook, because of Facebook, I know people now. So me and her kept in contact through there, and she's also on the Association of Black Businesses and Professionals. We're always talking about black businesses, black people starting their own businesses and all that. Yes. She's a part of an organization that forefronts
with
that
Daryl,
with Daryl,
yes, and the other brother, yes,
Jasmine Green,
and they're doing that work that we spoke about. They get it.
Yeah,
and they're really that stuff. We talk about ownership. They're really trying to push that.
They are doing it.
They get it, man. Shout out to them.
She's one of the head individuals of that.
Shout out to her, then, man. I ain't know that. Shout out to her.
And what I like about her running for city council at large is versus these other people. She's one of the everyday people. She ain't never held a public office before.
That's what
she ain't get no political science degree. She's just someone who cares about. She knows this community.
Kind of like an Adam. Adam came in as your neighbor, not like rough around the edges, just a regular everyday.
She's just your neighbor.
Man.
She's your neighbor. She's the one you come to. You need to borrow some sugar. Yeah. But she also loves her community. Her community loves her, and she believes she knows what needs to be done, what kind of voice we need on that seat. In this position. Other than her, the last person that comes to mind for running for this election is Kevin Green. Do you know Kevin Green?
Kevin Green, yes. Seeds of a Father?
Yes.
Did I say it right?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So Seeds of a Father, it's I believe it's a fatherhood nonprofit.
Yes, it's
thing, kind of organizes fathers.
To do with fathership and so. Yes, I always see him at all the events. As an organizer, you run into other people doing work around the community. He's always a face that I see at all of these events. So shout out to that brother. And we're always busy, kind of doing our own, trying to make our little differences in our own little worlds. But I always bump into him, and I know he's very active in the community. I think that's what we need.
One.
We need people that are actually active on the ground, roll up, get their sleeves, not these politicians with the nice suits that are lawyers, database. I feel like we need everyday people, like you mentioned about Tammy. And I would say, I don't know the brother too much, but from my little times meeting him, knowing him from just being active in the community.
And all of these people that we're mentioning, man, they're all real genuine people that if they're not community organizers, they're people who show up. They have shown up. And of course, we can't tell you if they shown up for good reasons. I'm not, I don't put anything past anybody anymore. People can surprise you. But what I say is that they show up. When they show up, they work. When they show up, that they show up because they care. They show up with ideas in mind. These aren't just people who, just mad at Trump and which I will say, by the way, I think is the reason why we're seeing all these people running for office. I honestly believe, and I was just having this conversation the other day, if Hillary Clinton won that presidency, you would not see all these people running for office.
You want to hear my theory?
Because it's not just now, it's everywhere.
You want to hear my
boy in Atlanta says a lot of people running over there too that are young.
You want to hear my theory where locally, where a lot of faces, which is not a bad thing, but I think with Adam Gomez, him being a kid out the north with a record, last year, Neighbor to Neighbor, a lot of people didn't really take us seriously. Like, you know what I mean? We were on the ground doing an election, and I feel that a lot of the people surrounding seen him win, and we're like, hold on, Adam?
Wait,
like,
so he hasn't been there for a minute? This is
his first time.
Oh, really?
Adam became a member of Neighbor to Neighbor, joined the campaign, got involved, and we ran him as a member.
I didn't know that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so basically, I forgot what I was saying.
I was talking on how Trump is the reason.
Trump being in office is the reason I think part of the reason is that like people seen, you know, I think like in our community, people were like, damn, like if someone who had a record, who was not like this perfect, pretty shaped politician can run, and they were able to do it. I think before people thought like it wasn't possible, like you had to have a ton of money. I think them seeing an everyday person be able to win in office without money on a grassroots way, I think people seen that it was possible locally. You know, like Janae and a lot of them were like, okay.
I agree.
And I think they probably had inspirations and they realized that they want to make a difference, but I think that showed them, right? Like, hey, this is possible. Right?
I think that is a factor as well.
Yeah, I think
that's a factor as well. The only reason I bring up Trump is because I hear that just from my friends across the nation, they're telling me that young people, just like here, are starting to run like out of nowhere. They're starting to run for city council, mayor. Not young people that have been doing internships and, you know, got degrees up the ass. You know, running. Like just people running. Yeah. Just people with ideas and they think they can make a difference.
That was part of that. Believe it or not, that's a lot of the Bernie crowd. Like part of Bernie's political revolution, the millennials, he was like, dude, run for office. That was like continuing. That was his message. So I think a lot of the Bernie,
that election period,
a lot of the Bernie, you know, the young millennials who went for Bernie, a lot of them are running for office.
Like I think 2020, that next election, you're not going to see something like you saw the last election where, you know, because a lot of people were asking themselves the last election, like, is this all we got? Like, who picked these people? Like, there was nobody else that was being groomed for running for a president for this party and that party. Like, why are we only left with these as options? I think next year you're going to see far more options from both sides. You're going to see far more diversity. 2020 is going to be an interesting
2020
time.
is going to be,
you know,
insane.
General election wise, midterm wise, I think actually
20.
What's that?
2020 is going to be insane.
2018, the midterm elections. 2018, like late 2018.
I'm not sure. I know 2020 is the big one.
The congressional. But yeah, so that's that on the elections. If you guys wanna know more about these individuals,
maybe we might in the future invite them all here. Maybe at
I
the
would
same
love
time,
to have,
and they would love to do that. And then maybe we could get some raw questions. I would love to maybe get it live so people can actually call in from the audience, and
I would love to.
And
I was
just
about to
get
say
them
that to
some
you.
transparency.
I would love to set that up.
You know,
I would love to set that up if we can get like maybe not all of them. You know, we don't.
Not all of them, but
this
the ones
mic
like
can only spark
Marcus.
so
You know,
cool.
like Marcus. You know, Adam, Janae. You know.
I love it. You know what I really like to do? I like to host a debate.
But yeah, we do that. Neighbor to neighbor, we do that every year. So like,
so I'm just gonna come out with the mic.
You be the you know, the MC.
Hey,
I already know.
Hey, let them know whatever the date is. I'm free.
It's already
just pick tell me the date as soon as you got it.
Yeah,
I'm there. Hey, you heard it here first. People playing people. Neighbor to neighbor collab.
Yes, sir.
It's that easy.
That's going down. That's gonna go down. That's
man. I love a good local debate, man.
Oh man, love it.
Because sometimes it could get ratchet, or sometimes it can get real formal.
Man, you never know what you're gonna get.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Politics, man, this should be like the streets, brother. They be out here, old folks on both sides of the campaign, ready to cut each other.
So I got an article I want to talk about before we leave. You got an article you want to talk about before we leave. You want to go first?
No, I'll let you go first.
All right, cool. I'm not joking.
And as we end the topic around local politics, I just want to state that Neighbor to Neighbor, the organization I actually work for, we're an organization that really likes to educate people on the issue. So we have an office right at 191 Chestnut Street, anytime between 9 and 5 during the week. Come on, stop by, figure out what we're about. I will have more information.
See how you can get involved.
And it's like we played the Malcolm X video. I'm gonna leave you with his quote where he said, Until we become politically mature, we will always be led astray and misled into serving someone politically, into voting for someone politically that doesn't have the good of our community at heart. And that's the God's honest truth. We got to figure this stuff out, man, and really hold these people running accountable. So, with that being said, man, what you got for an article, my man?
I do want to end off by saying the reason why I'm not endorsing anybody this
why you can't endorse nobody?
Why I'm not endorsing anybody this early?
Yeah, that's
because
like the early part.
I learned my mistake in college. In college, I endorsed somebody.
You jumped out there. You were impulsive. You just jumped out there like, yo, he's cool, man.
No. See, what happened with me is because I was a college kid, I was looking for internships. So the first person during the election season that said, "Yeah, come help me out,
those
be my
college
intern."
Kids, those are the ones we're looking for because they go hard. They be hungry. We scoop the.
But not a lot of them do research, before they just jump into stuff.
Yeah,
so that's the dangerous part. And I didn't do my research, and it turns out the woman I was helping her run for, she has a DUI. She's known for being a bigot, a black bigot at that.
Oh man, that was not good.
Like she's known for being like leaving her people behind. Like she just has a real bad track record. I didn't realize until I was in the middle of the election. I've already posted thousands of flyers for this lady. I've already knocked on doors for this lady, Mm-hmm. So now that I'm in this, I'm much older now, and I'm much wiser. So, and because we have such a great roster of people running for office, I don't want to just say I'm helping someone out because they're all people I consider friends or mentors.
Oh no, they will get it gets.
I want to see what they're about first.
It gets very like you support one, it gets very emotional, man.
Yeah.
For me as an organizer, since we endorse this time of year, everybody's coming around our meetings. Everybody trying to get the endorsement. People I ain't seen all year. All of a sudden they at every meeting now.
And keep that as a note. Keep that as a note.
Every meeting now, and it's
that's the first time you came here, huh?
And like I always say. A lot of people criticize poor communities for being disengaged in terms of politics, but once a year, politicians come into the communities, make a bunch of promises, and then they don't keep their promises, and these people don't see them again. So when you come back and you wonder why they're not voting, just think about all the times that politicians came in our hood and promised these folks the world, and they ain't see them again.
Hi, my name is Noemi Argenzoni Jimenez, and I am Jafet Robles' mother. He has left a huge void. Jafet was someone that would walk into my house every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. It's not like I knew he was coming, but it was like, "Hi Mom, how are you? What are you doing?" And he would like to review or have discussions about whatever he was doing. It could be, whatever he was working on. And if he was writing papers, he always wanted me to look at them. And then also the kids, if he was concerned about his children, he would always talk to me about it. So he was really he was my son, but he was also a friend. He inspired me also to do many things. When he was incarcerated, a part of me, I felt this huge sense of loss, almost thinking that all the dreams were shattered. As a mother, it's not just, what he has to face. And I didn't know if all the dreams that any mother has for a son would ever become. I thought that was all lost and gone. When he started getting involved, that he started asking me to go to the meetings or to whatever he was doing, I really felt I really have to support him. But he also started talking to me about it. I mean, I had always read about many of the things that he was talking about. I knew about them, but I just never was involved. And when he started getting involved, he really made me a part of that. And my heart had always been there, but it's like almost he kind of lit that fire in me. But I felt that I had to. It just came to a point that when things were happening, like if it was the State House or if we were going to Washington, this sense that I had to do something, that I had to be a part of it. That with the things that were going on, I just felt and based as I got older, I just felt that my time was so limited that I really had to be a part of that. He loved his children dearly, and his firstborn, he had just turned 17 when Destiny was born, and he was a young dad, but he always was, wherever he went, he had his daughter, and then when Isaiah was born, it was the same thing. He had Jossie and Josiah. He definitely saw he lived with the two oldest ones for a while. They were under his roof, so obviously he saw them more often. But he really, he was a good dad, and I think his goal was to really secure their future. That's what he really was trying so hard to do. He wanted to start his own business. He really encouraged many people to do that because he felt that was the way to not have to depend on somebody else for a salary, to be able to build your own wealth and move forward so you weren't dependent on others. And that was one thing that he spoke to me about a lot, and he always encouraged me to do so, but I'm not like a risk taker like he was. And I think he was in the process of moving forward with that also. But basically, he loved the North End. His life was difficult. I speak a lot about his issues with the distractibility because that was a constant struggle for him. People don't realize how difficult life was for him because of his forgetting things, losing things, and that created lots of anxiety for him. But he never, ever let that stop him. Like, he would have his moments of panic and anxiety because, I forgot this, I lost this. But then whatever he had to do, he would just get up every morning and do it, and always had a very positive attitude towards life, even though he did carry that burden of not being really able to organize himself the way he should. And so, like I said, I lost my son, I lost my friend. He challenged me to write, to speak, and we ran together. He got me into running, and running with Jafet was like, once you started, it was this sense of freedom as we ran. And those are the things that he loved. He loved the outdoors, he loved hiking. So there was a lot about Jafet that people really didn't know about. But I think it's important, his love for the community and for people. That's, I think people, it was overwhelming for me to see the impact that he had on different people. That was a total surprise to me. I never knew that. I didn't know that was actually happening, that was what he was doing. So that has been comforting.
Thank you so much